broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, and the was so gallantly streaming on the rocket's red glare, the bursting in air gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please remain standing. Please join me, each in your own heart and each in your own way, as we prepare ourselves for this evening's program. Gracious Lord, our great architect of the universe, we gather here to honor these outstanding citizens of our community who have achieved success since their graduation from high school. Therefore, we offer to you this evening Judy, Elena, Frank, and Gary, for you to watch over them, that they may continue to achieve further greatness and to become a role model for our young athletes and young students of our community, so that they too may be encouraged to be qualified someday to receive the honors that we are bestowing here this evening. We ask you to bless the families and friends here this evening of these awardees. We bless all those in attendance and this wonderful organization to continue their important service to our community. We ask that you would give everyone here this evening safe passage to their destinations as they leave. And in all this we ask thy blessing. Amen. Please be seated. Welcome to the 19th Annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony of the Norristown Area High School Hall of Champions Association. We congratulate each of tonight's inductees for their outstanding accomplishments in their post-high school life and on their selection to our Hall of Fame. Norristown Area High School can be very proud of its 100 graduates who have been selected over the past years for induction into the Hall of Fame. Each of tonight's inductees will receive a plaque with their picture and accomplishments so inscribed. Also, each has had their name added to a permanent plaque in the lobby of this auditorium to perpetuate their achievements. Our inductees this evening visited with our high school students earlier today and took part in a Hall of Fame roundtable discussion that was taped for viewing by all students. We thank them all for their interest in helping to make this day a memorable one for Norristown Area High School. I might add that at this time that plans are underway to observe the 20th anniversary of the Hall of Champions Association with a dinner program here at the high school on November 15th, 1997, about just 13 months away. More information will be forthcoming over the next year about this festive occasion, but I know Wilmer Cressman and his committee are working diligently to provide a great night, and it probably will be one of the largest gatherings of high school graduates, from Norristown High School graduates, at one time at one location, and you'll hear more about it as time goes on, but we look forward to our great evening. There are some former inductees here tonight with us, and I would like to introduce them if they would stand and be recognized. From the Hall of Fame, we have Charlie Beal here, class of 1935. Fred Lobb from the class of 48. Bill Lessig from the class of 55. Bill Radcliffe from the class of 1932 winner. Thanks for coming again, Bill. Good to see you. Paul Atkinson from the class of 39. Bob Strimmel from the class of 33. And from the Hall of Champions, we have Jim Beatty, class of '62. Lee Emery from the class of '61. Jim Randolph from the class of '51. And last and far from least, Sam Monastero from the class of '31 winner. Sam, it's nice to see you. Rory, or Rini, I'm sorry.
Good evening and welcome to Norristown Area High School. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you as assistant principal and to tell you that you can have strong faith in the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame Champions Committee, because I had a wonderful opportunity to meet the 4 individuals who are being honored this evening, and after having met them, I know that the future appears safer to me now. They are indeed stellar choices, and the young people they've met today are stellar choices of ours. I have the wonderful pleasure to present to you the top 10 scholars in the classes of 1999, 98, and 97. These young people have worked hard to get this far. I know when I was starting out as a teacher, I taught Latin, and one of the words that was very popular in my curriculum was fama, which is the word that means fame, but really it's not fame, it's reputation. I am convinced that the families that nurture these young people are responsible for the reputation they bring to the community. And I'd like to take an opportunity for everyone who comes here this evening as a parent, grandparent, significant other, sibling, someone who has been in the family of this individual to stand up and be recognized as we thank you for doing such a good job. Parents? Thank you, and now I ask Mr. Jim Wood, President of the Hall of Fame Champions, to join me in congratulating the honored students. I will begin by calling the class of '99, the sophomores. Miss Ari Hawkins. Mr. Frank Schultz. Miss Victoria I. Miss Stacy M. Heckard. Miss Andrea M. Kennedy. Miss Sandra Ritter. Mr. Brad Armbrust. Congratulations, Brad. Congratulations. Miss Perry R. Coleman. Miss Mary A. Tutoris. And finally, Ms. Huang P. Kang. Thank you, sophomores of the class of '99, and now we will welcome the juniors, class of 1998, that will be joining in planning for the big anniversary celebration of the Hall of Fame. Mr. Nathan M. Ashby-Kuhlman. Ms. Julie J. Fulham. Ms. Molly Kang. Mr. Jeffrey Sconier. Miss Rebecca Wall could not be with us this evening. She has an away volleyball game, but we will make sure she receives her certificate in the morning. And now I call Miss Christina K. Price. Miss Han Dung Tran. Mr. Orest Domchewski. Miss Christina A. Cox. And finally, Miss Hai Sung An. And now, for the class that's truly, truly special because they will leave us this year and we'll always have them in our hearts, we call the seniors, Nicholas M. Bianco. Miss Kaylee Park. Miss Tracy Brandaw. Mr. Brian J. Carr. You can tell Brian is our drum major. Miss Jessica Munson. Miss Laura Andraka. Mr. Matthew Coons. Miss Mamie Douglas. Ms. Olenka Domchusky could not be with us this evening for a very legitimate reason, and I look to Ms. Heidi Benton, who is also one of our top 10 senior scholars. She is a student on early admission basis to Temple University, and that's where she's spending her senior year and also her freshman year of college. She's a gifted trumpeter. So I mention her name in tribute to the young lady who deserves it, Ms. Heidi Benton. And now I call the last name, but certainly not the least name, in the class of 1997, Ms. Takia Hicks. Thank you all for being patient, and thank you for nurturing the future of our country.
Frank O. Genuardi, class of 1934. Businessman, community leader, author. That describes the very active life of our first inductee, Frank O. Genuardi, who, since his graduation from Norristown High School in 1934, has made his mark on Norristown and the surrounding area. Following high school, where he was a member of the National Honor Society, Frank studied 2 years in the evening at the Dobbins Vocational School in Philadelphia. After graduation, he joined his father, Gaspare, at their food market on West Main Street in Jeffersonville, Montgomery County. Since Gaspare Genuardi's opening of that market in 1917, Frank, along with his brothers, Charles, Joseph, Thomas, and James, or Vince as he is known to many, the Genuardi brothers have founded some 30 supermarkets throughout the area in Pennsylvania as well as Delaware. But the story of Frank Genuardi's involvement in his community doesn't end there. Frankly, that's where it starts. He has served over the years as a member of the board of directors of the former Sacred Heart Hospital in Norristown, a member of the board of Gwynedd Mercy College. He is a past president of the West Norriton Lions Club and was an active member of the former Child Development Center board of directors, where he served as first president of the Child Development Center Foundation. Frank is currently active with the Hello Columbus Committee in Norristown. Frank has just published a book entitled Family Pride, a Memoir, a history of his family and their successful supermarket chain. All proceeds from the sale of the book will be donated to the Philadelphia Food Bank, an organization that provides for the needy. Another charitable program is the Genuardi Community Cash Bank. This unique concept has, since its inception 20 years ago, provided more than $6 million to nonprofit groups, including churches, scout groups, and schools. 5 years ago, Frank and his brothers were honored by Boys Town of Italy Incorporated as their Family of the Year. The 5 Genuardi brothers were also jointly honored by the Norristown Area High School Hall of Champions Association in 1987 with a special award for their community service at the association's Hall of Fame ceremony. Frank Genuardi is married to the former Valley Branca, and they are the parents of sons Francis and Lawrence, both active in the operation of the Genuardi supermarkets. Frank, please come to the stage now as we welcome you to the Norristown Area High School Hall of Fame. Presenting the award is Mr. William Mccain.
I first came to know Frank Genuardi well in the early 50s. We were both members of the West Norriton Lions Club. He was a very active member and ultimately went to become its president. During my tenure here at Norristown High School, I remember Edna Rundle, who was chairperson of our business education department, frequently citing Frank as one of her outstanding students. She often asked him to come in and speak to her students. Later, Frank joined the board of directors of the Historical Society of Montgomery County, where I served as treasurer. While there, he traced the roots of the early Italian families in Norristown and developed a slide presentation to accompany his talk. I suspect that may just have planted the germ of the idea, which later developed into his recent book, Family Pride, which tells the story of the evolution of his own family from poor immigrant to outstanding community members, and the transformation of a huckster route to a chain of supermarkets. Frank, you have often referred to me as your agent. And so in that capacity, it is a pleasure for me to present to you and represent the Hall of Fame and give you this plaque to add to your many other accolades.
Thank you very much, Mel. Thank you, Bill, Charlie, Jimmy, the Sandler, and fellow inductees, and all my family and friends. I guess half of them here are family. I was taken back a little bit, but this is one time that Bill cited me, and I didn't know how to speak about me because I've always spoken about we. But in life, you know, we've all had some ups and we've all had some downs. But some of us can bounce back and ward off the bumps and go on and roll with the positive things in life. At this moment, I would like to take you down my memory lane. If you'd like to read the book will be available at all Genuardi supermarkets. And the proceeds will go to the food bank in Philadelphia. But I'd like to just mention some of the people who touched my life and have molded me to what you perceive me to be today. My parents, who gave me life and taught me the family values, to be proud, to work hard, and strive for a piece of the American dream, the way they perceived it. And this is the way they conveyed it to us. My wife, Bailey, who raised my two boys, I'm ashamed to say that I hardly saw them when they were little, and had the patience to stay with me. She had to be a saint to do that during our lean years, and she was always there with love, courage, and support in anything I did during our growth years. To my son Skip and my son Larry, who have matured into being fine family men who prize their family values very highly. To each one of my brothers, who each in his own way added another dimension to my life. We worked side by side in this journey of life. We were able to reach a peaceable agreement and sold our organization to our sons 6 years ago. That was short of a miracle. And one of our successes, I've always reiterated, has been that we as brothers had always trusted one another, never argued about money, and we always worked hard. That was a given in our time. Some of the other people who helped me in my life, I like to mention, many of them are gone, but my Bill mentioned Earl, Hagie, Rundle, and this teacher taught me to have initiative, have drive. She didn't take no for an answer. The only teacher in my life that could leave the classroom for a whole day and her classes would function like she was present, because one of us would get up and take over the shorthand class or typing class, and that was a given to her. Never demanded it, but that's what she taught us. To Harvey Fishburne, who was our director of athletics in my time, me as a sophomore in high school was asked to be his secretary, and I was a secretary for 3 years. He taught me responsibility. To Frank Whitehead, who was director of the YMCA, who allowed me to type the YMCA organ, I guess you call it, newspaper, and that's how I worked for my membership at the YMCA during the 30s, which everybody calls the Deep Depression. To Elmer Hoffman, my bookkeeping teacher, who taught me the basic fundamentals of bookkeeping. I'm a Christian who recommended me to a job to go to in 1934 in the height of the Depression. I must remember the man's name. Anyway, he was head of the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association, and I went to him and says, I'm sorry I can't take your job because I owe my dad 2 years of my life to work on the Huckster truck. And there I stayed. I stayed in business and pursued my career that way. To people in our company, Art Stover and Jack Shoup and Jim McCrudden were some of the key players in the growth of our company and of me. To my late brother-in-law, Phil Scotty, who went before too soon. At age 53, he passed away. I remember him very highly. To Larry Taylor, who was a group leader from Hillsdale College in Michigan. I attended a seminar in Chicago for about 19 years, and there we had free exchange between fellow grocers who had 1 store to 20 stores. And the first year I went there, we had done, I forget whether it was $9 or $11 million worth of business. And when I left the group, I think we were doing about 400 million. So this is the way life is. Talk about the American dream. To Dr. Bill Applebaum from Harvard, whose seminar I attended in St. Charles, Illinois, and taught me some catchphrases about the supermarket business. And to Charlie Mallow, St. Joseph University, and I worked there raising money for their scholarships in the early stages of the program. Dr. Natoli, the late Dr. Natoli, who was my partner in a nursing home that I'm involved in Pottstown, and my years of service to Gwynn and Mercy College, serving on the board there, has widened the dimensions of my life. And last but not least, Russell Rush, who is present here to help me put my book together. All these people are part of my past and my present, and each in his way, in his or her own way, have had a part with me in my walk down memory lane. Thank you very much. Hope I didn't take that.
Judith Wynn Cook, class of 1955. Life is not a spectator sport. You have to be a participant. With that philosophy and outlook, Judith Wynn Cook, a member of the Norristown High School class of 1955, has made a contribution with every step of her life. While a student at NAHS, Judith played varsity basketball and hockey and received the Outstanding Female Award. Enrolling at Westchester University, Judith excelled as a member of the school's hockey, lacrosse, and swim teams. However, after suffering serious knee injuries, Judith put her collegiate studies on hold and was married. She returned some years later to Westchester to finish her undergraduate degree and a master's program in special education, with an emphasis in speech and hearing disorders. It was the first such degree ever given in the subject at Westchester University. Before returning to college, and while living in Stroudsburg, Judith started a preschool for handicapped children. She said, "I realized that this was an area where I could really make a difference in the lives of others, and it is still a first love of mine today." Judith Wynn Cook was employed by the Chester County Intermediate Unit, working with the speech impaired for 17 years. She presently serves as a speech and hearing therapist and audiologist in a doctor's office in Phoenixville. Mrs. Cook has continued her interest in swimming and golf, serving as a national and state official with various golf and swim associations. These associations include the Philadelphia Board of Officials for Women's Sports, the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association as a swim official, the District 1 PIAA Swimming Committee, and as current president of the Pennsylvania State Women's Golf Association and a director of female golf for the Keystone State Games. A strong believer in competition for women, Judith Wynn Cook said, "We all must be survivors. We all have our down times, but must rise above our difficulties. I believe in getting youngsters started at an early age so that they become competitive, not handicapped." Judith resides in Collegeville, Pennsylvania, with her husband, William. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judith Wynn Cook to the Norristown Area High School Hall of Fame. Presenting the award is Mr. Jim Wynn.
Good evening, everyone. Judith Wynn Cook, I think she's better known as Judy to everybody that's familiar with her. In fact, I think the only time you hear Judith called is when her mother talks to her, and it's more like, "Judith!" Still hear that once in a while. How's a brother supposed to describe his sister? We grew up together and played together and fought together a few times, shared joys and sorrows. And I was just trying to think of a couple descriptions, and I guess one word that comes to mind is a fun person. Most of you that know her in the audience can relate to that. She likes to have fun. Every once in a while, I'll run into someone that knows her or works with her or went to school with her and asked about her, and I'll say, "Well, you know how she is. She hasn't changed. When she grows up one of these days, maybe we'll figure out what she's going to do." She just likes having fun and refuses to grow up. Another word I think is, and we saw it in her original quote, is a very energetic and active person. And actually, I guess that starts in a couple of phases. Originally we grew up in East Norton. I was just a year ahead of her going through school. And we spent a lot of time on the playgrounds in East Norton. And really, I guess I could say she was an energetic and active tomboy in those days. She still tells everybody that she protected her brother on the playground. Following through into high school and in her education, probably can relate to more of a energetic and active jock. I'm not sure if that's a politically correct term today, but so it was. And she worked on cars. She raced cars in addition to her other athletic activities until one day she landed on her head in a car, and that finally slowed her down a little bit. I think one of the things that really describes Judy, and I think her peers and all of her friends and relatives in the audience can relate to, she's a genuine people person. And these achievements that she's being recognized for tonight and her accomplishments are really, I think, a result of her dedication and her commitment into helping people and to furthering education, in particular those that are disabled and disadvantaged. And I know on behalf of everybody here tonight and the family that I'm happy and proud to be part of this and to recognize you for this award, and we love you, Jude. We got class of 1955 has a gift or a flower for you, I think. Flowers.
Thank you.
And my pleasure is your plaque.
Thanks, big brother. I'm young at heart, but I need glasses to read my notes. Thank you. I'm so honored to be an inductee, and I just want to share with you how much I appreciate the work of the committee in the Board of Directors of the Hall of Fame and Hall of Champions. That's unbelievable, the dedication that they have toward Norristown Area High School and the alumni. I had the pleasure of spending this morning with the students and some of the faculty, observing their classrooms and seeing the interest in the youngsters, I can call you youngsters, in your learning. As I completed the profile for the committee, I started to reflect on the many great people that I've met, the faculty, my coaches, while a student at the Norristown High School, which was then Eisenhower High School on the Boulevard. And as a student, I realized how much they had influenced my life through their leadership, their support, and most of all, the friendship. They led me into a career. They kept me involved in athletics as a player, as a coach, and an official. 3 years at Norristown High School gave me opportunities and experiences that I think I took for granted in my daily life. But now I'm realizing how important those years were to me. I had the opportunity to grow up in a loving Christian family with my parents and my brother. They all instilled in me the importance of success, leadership, and excellence in performance. They made me meet my life challenges with determination to succeed. My life goals could not have been attained without their love and support. And all the special people, and those of you who are here, my golf team that I play with, my good friends, my family, it's wonderful to have you here and to receive this honor in your presence. I wish I could introduce each of you by name. You're so special to me. I would like you to meet someone very special in my life. It's my husband of 32 years. He supported me. He was my strength through graduate school. And he encouraged me to accept all new challenges and positions that were offered to me. Now, you've met my brother, and you can determine who's the oldest. His wife, Joan, is here with her children and their spouses and the grandchildren, who are a highlight in my life. And if anyone ever needs an uplift, you should spend a day at Jim and Joan's house with their children and grandchildren. It's a special, special family. My father-in-law came down from East Stroudsburg. He's watched me grow also and has been an influence mostly in my golf game, and a good influence. And last but not least, my top cheerleader, my mentor, and my very best friend, my mother. Again, thank you for this special, special recognition. And to the students of the Norristown Area High School, tap into all the great resources that are made available to you, and you'll have what you need to control your future. God bless. Thank you.
Mother and I were in high school with her in the same classroom. Maxine Hoffman, her name was. Oh, yeah. I think she graduated in 33 or 34.
Dr. Gary F. Russell, class of 1962. Called an educator's educator, Dr. Gary Russell, a member of the Norristown High School class of 62, is nationally known for the establishment of the North American soccer camps, as well as for the Center for Professional Achievement Incorporated. A member of Norristown High's centennial class of 62, Gary participated in basketball, baseball, and soccer, and was a member of the school's basketball team, which played in the 1962 Pennsylvania PIAA State Championship game. A graduate of Kutztown University, Dr. Russell received his master's degree in guidance and counseling from Duquesne University and his doctorate in education from California Coast University. In 1969, he founded the Gary Russell Soccer Camps, now known as the North American Soccer Camps. It is the largest soccer day camp program in the nation, with some 600 camps serving nearly 30,000 youths each year. Within the past 10 years, the soccer program has expanded its operation into the English League soccer arena and has become affiliated with an exchange education program for soccer coaches and trainers, bringing more expertise to American soccer. Gary Russell and his North American soccer camps were chosen by Nancy Reagan's Just Say No Foundation to serve as executive director of the national soccer activity for Just Say No. Here you see Dr. Russell with a familiar face, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Steve Young. Russell's Center for Professional Advancement Incorporated is a training and consulting firm designed to develop human resource programs and materials. It is a consulting service for educators and other professionals to provide them with the ability and resources to advance professionally. The center also provides graduate courses, workshops, and in-service training for educators on such topics as discipline, motivation, learning theory, organization, and planning strategies. Dr. Russell is the developer of the belief system theory, which shifts the basic approach of education and our society in general from goal-oriented to role-oriented. A resident of Gales Ferry, Connecticut, Dr. Russell and his wife Nancy are the parents of 2 daughters and 2 sons. And now, it's our pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Russell, to the Norristown Area High School Hall of Fame. Presenting the award is Cheryl Beatty.
100 years ago, when Gary and I were in junior high school, I went to Stewart and he went to Rittenhouse. And no self-respecting Stewart girl would be caught dating a Rittenhouse boy. Simply wasn't done. The rivalry between our schools was intense. We beat them every year in football. We had prettier cheerleaders. We beat them soundly every year in football, basketball, and baseball. And I don't even know if there was a soccer game between our schools. Was there a soccer team?
No.
No soccer team. That shows pretty much where our thoughts were about soccer. Nobody played soccer. We thought that the guys who played soccer simply couldn't make the football team. But that was then and this is now. And soccer, the game that it's played in gigantic proportion in every other country but this one, is beginning to take hold here. And Gary has taken the game of soccer, the game he loves, and used its principles to develop a fundamental educational principles to encourage and motivate children, which he now teaches to teachers. He's become an educator's educator. And we couldn't be more proud of what Gary has accomplished in his life, and we look forward to where he's going to go from here. But we cannot continue to say all these wonderful things about Gary without reminding him that we knew him when. We remember the Gary Russell from Rittenhouse and Norristown High, and he still is that same crazy person inside that we all met back in 1959. And we both feel that everyone should be honored in a Hall of Fame somewhere if they're an honest and honorable person, pay their bills, love their families. But tonight's honor is special because it comes from the high school and the hometown that played such a big part in shaping our lives. And I am pleased indeed to present Gary Russell with this award as he's inducted tonight into Norristown High School's Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Mrs. Zuma, if you could just wait a second for the lights to go down. Thanks very much, and like you, Judith, I need the old specs. Dr. Sandler, Mr. McCann, Mr. Cressman, the other distinguished guests of the committee, what an honor it is to be back in my hometown. I haven't been back for about 5 years since my mom passed away. Came back and drove around this morning looking for all the places where they used to sell Zeps when I was a kid. I try to explain what they are everywhere in the world, and they don't have a clue, but that's okay. That's our little secret. I'd like to say thanks to Elena and Judy and Frank, who I spent the day with today. I'd like to thank Shorty Landis, who's on the committee, used to be my next door neighbor, and I still got in. I don't understand that, but thanks, Shorty. What I'm going to try to do tonight, and I don't know if I'll be able to do it exactly the way I had planned, when I found out about this, needless to say, I was taken back tremendously, because I'm sure there'd be a few people who, when my name was mentioned, if my ex-teachers were here, would be snickering at the moment, wondering, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But you never know in life what twists and turns and things are going to happen in the people that affect you. So when I was asked to say something tonight, I really struggled to speak anything about what I've done because I don't really consider it that big a deal. I mean, I think it is in terms of what I'm doing, but to get up here and talk about it. So I thought what I would do is try to share with you some of the people from my past that some of you may remember that have affected my life tremendously. Now there's one slide in there I'm going to try to read if I can get around here a little bit to share it with you. If I can't, then we'll just go on. So Mrs. Zuma, if you could do that for me. Thanks. That's pretty good. Okay, what I wanted to do is to go back into the moldy oldie yearbook and try to dig out some of the existing pictures that brought back some really dear memories to me. Next, please. A.D. Eisenhower was, like this building, a tremendous place to go to school, and I must say, if there's anyone in this whole Philadelphia area that has any question about what's going on here at Norristown High, today, spending the day with all the kids, looking at the beautiful building, there's certainly something going on here that's building a culture of pride. And I, too, had pride in my school. Next. I put this in here. You've already seen one of them, but my children said, put Forrest Gump in. Go ahead, please, put Forrest Gump in. I personally don't think I look like Forrest Gump, but then again, that's what the kids think. Obviously, I was no day at the beach then, and no evening at the shore now, but that was the picture. Next, please. I put this in here only to share with you that, like thousands of kids that end up in a yearbook, there's nothing particular special about Gary. Academic course, back in those days, they wouldn't let us take typing. I don't know who the person who ever decided that was, because I've been typing ever since I went to college and doing papers and research. But other than that, pretty nondescript. Next. I wanted to share this with you. It came from President Reagan, and it's really the theme of what I'd like to share with you for the rest of my presentation. It's taken from Guy Dowd, who was the Teacher of the Year, and it's called Molders of Dreams. You are the molders of their dreams, the gods who build or crush their young, beliefs of right or wrong. You are the spark that sets aflame the poet's hand, or lights the flame of some great singer's song. You are the God of the young, the very young. You are the guardian of the million dreams. Your every smile or frown can heal or pierce a heart. Yours are 100 lives, 1,000 lives. You are the pride of loving them, the sorrow too. Your patient work, your touch makes you the gods of hope, who fill their souls with dreams to make those dreams come true. Those years were the molders of me and my dreams. And let me share some of these people with you. Next. Well, we've already seen that one. We don't need to do that again. But I have some very fond memories of playing athletics at this school. We were the 1962 basketball team that went to the state finals. I used to be 6'2" when I was younger. I just happened to shrunk a little bit over the years. Next, please. But I played with probably the best of the best. Jimmy Williams, who went on to play pro basketball, Johnny Vasley, Donnie Cartwright, Eggs Beatty, Jim, who's in the audience right now. These guys were unbelievable. And I had the honor of carrying their suitcases, I think it was. Next, please. This is an interesting picture because this is probably the only stage I've ever come down on where I haven't slammed into the front of it and gotten injured. We belong to many different parts of things. That's me with the beautiful legs there with the polka dot dress. These kids down here are checking it all out. I see you down there. But these were, again, some fond memories. Next, please. And these are the gentlemen and people that made a difference in my life. This is Mr. Martz. If you had Mr. Martz, you're probably going to know exactly what I'm talking about. I had Mr. Martz for art, and he was probably the most gentle man I've ever met. He taught me about the beauty of things, the delicacy, and he was just an absolute, well, he's like my dad. When we went out into the baseball field, it was a different ball game. This man, I've never been pushed so hard in all my life, and I really look back on those years of knowing what it really is to put out effort. Thank you, Mr. Martz. Next, please. This is Mr. Schuler. Mr. Schuler, I met, even though we only lived about a block from each other, right after I had gotten about a D minus in Algebra 1. And Mr. Schuler looked at me and said, "Son, we can teach you." I thought, if this man can teach me algebra, he knows God very well. I got an A in Algebra 2, and he coaxed me to take trigonometry, and I got an A in that. Don't ask me how. This man was a genius. He was a believer in kids, and he took everybody, even me, and made me a star. Next, please. This is Mr. Ruth, to those of us who played ball for him, Baby Ruth, like the candy bar. But this is the gentleman that taught me how to shake hands. And to this day, when I go out and I meet a lot of people, when I shake their hand, I think about Mr. Ruth. He said, "You're only worth what people have an impression of you, and your first impression is shaking hands." And now I think about him and think about that every time. Next. This is Mr. Telford, which I understand he's still here. I didn't mean that the way it sounded, but and I didn't get a chance to see him today, but I hope I do. This is a gentleman that after I graduated from high school, and we did not have any money for me to go to school, so I worked, and Mr. Telford helped me get a basketball scholarship to Millersville State College. Again, these are the things that people do that they don't have to do, but they make a difference. Next. This is Miss Berger. If you remember her, I particularly didn't like Miss Berger because she told me the truth. She looked at me in my junior year and she said, forget about going to college, you'll never make it. Now, most of the people who've had me as a consultant probably agree with that statement today. But what she did for me was to make me get off of my rear end and get to work. She recognized talent in me that I didn't see and took the bold step instead of dancing around the issue and got right to it and told me to get on with it. Next. What did these people do? These people gave me a dream. They gave me a vision that I was more capable than I ever believed that I believed of myself. I founded North American Sports Camps, which is really what the camp is all about. Our mission statement is lifting people beyond their own vision of capability. I've researched behavior. We've created programs now where all children, and I say all children, boys, girls, exceptional children, can get involved in sport and have fun, have a good time, learn not to spit in people's faces and do all the crazy things that are going on in sport today. And my philosophy and my research has now been endorsed by the NFL as the exclusive programs Jack Nicklaus in Major League Soccer. These people did this for me. They spurred me on to go to college after working a number of years and going to Ursinus Night School. They told me never to give up. I went on and received my master's degree, had a 4.0 average and a 4.0 average in my doctoral work. And I only say that because these people pushed me to do it. They inspired me. They were the molders of my dreams. Next. Not that all is great with working with Gary Russell, though. I put this in here just to keep things level. These are some of my clients' comments. I survived 3 years with Gary Russell. This is one of our clients that we kid each other all the time, and this is really about our programs. Next. If I have any claim of fame, my maker will tell me that probably, hopefully, many years from now. And the only fame that I hope I ever get, and the Hall of Fame that I really, truly want to get, is in with my children. This is Carrie on the left, who's in her 20s, and Becky, who's in the audience. She's 11 years of age, almost 12, don't forget that. Next. My son, who is 25 on the right, and his beautiful wife, Jen. I'm now a grandfather. I have one grandchild and one on the way. Next. This is Christopher, who's in the audience as well, who's 13. And I coach both of them. And we can go to the next slide. And probably the wind beneath my wings and the molder of my dreams happens to be my best friend, my inspiration. And Nance, I love you. There she is. Thanks, everyone.
Dr. Elena C. Antonelli, class of 1971. Our final inductee of the evening is a graduate of the class of 1971. A sharpshooter with the Norristown Area High School rifle team during her junior and senior years, Elena Antonelli has continued her marksmanship as she has taken aim on making life medically better for all. Elena also served 3 years in her class Congress, was homeroom vice president, and also played soccer and volleyball while in high school. Following graduation from Norristown, Elena continued her studies at Ursinus College and Immaculata College, receiving her degree in 1976. In 1977, Elena received her master's degree in organic chemistry from Bryn Mawr College. In 1981, Elena graduated from the Medical College of Pennsylvania with a doctorate in medicine. She interned at the Wilmington, Delaware Medical Center in 1981 and 82. She performed her residency in internal medicine at Lankenau Hospital, Lower Merion Township, here in Montgomery County. Presently practicing occupational medicine, she is Corporate Occupational Medical Director for SmithKline Beecham Corporation, with nationwide responsibilities as a consultant on health programs for some 20,000 employees. Licensed to practice medicine in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and board certified in emergency medicine since 1990, Elena Antonelli serves as president of the Delaware Valley chapter of the American Medical Women's Association. She is a member of the Philadelphia Occupational Medical Association, the American Medical Association, and the American College of Emergency Physicians. Elena's community activities over the years have included volunteering in the emergency department at Bryn Mawr Hospital and as an instructor in various hospital-based CPR and advanced cardiac life support courses. A resident of Churchville, Bucks County, Elena is married to Robert Lewandowski. They are the parents of daughters Sarah and Caroline. Elena's connection to Norristown is even stronger in that her mother, Helen, is a retired teacher of English at Norristown Area High School. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Elena Antonelli to the Norristown Area High School Hall of Fame. Presenting the award is Mr. Wilmer Cressman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am pinch hitting tonight for Ronald Petruso, who was called out of town and couldn't be here. I have not known Elena very long, but I can tell you that I have known her mother, Helen, over the many years that she taught English in this building, and also as a retired teacher now. It's not a surprise to me to see the accomplishments of Elena and all of her awards and things that she has accomplished in her life since graduating from this school. The reason that I'm not surprised is that she comes from good stock, and that has a lot to do with how you turn out in life. On behalf of the Hall of Champions Association of the Norristown Area High School, I want to congratulate you on being selected for our Hall of Fame. And I also want to tell you that you are now officially our 100th inductee to the Hall of Fame. We now have 100 inductees in the Hall of Champions, whose inductions are held in the spring. And now Elena makes our 100th Hall of Fame. So congratulations, and as a memento of your induction, I'd like to present you with this plaque.
Very much.
Take a picture.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Fellow inductees, I really enjoyed your presentations, and I really appreciate, Gary, that you included some teachers that I remember also. It was wonderful. It really brought back a lot of memories. It's really nice to be seeing so many friends and acquaintances from Norristown High School here tonight. Thanks to all of you for coming to share our proud moments with us, me and my 3 fellow inductees. I extend special thanks
to Mr. William Mccain, who was a vice principal of Norristown High School during my years here, Mr. James Wood, Mr. Wilmer Cressman, and the entire executive board of the Hall of Fame for their dedication and the hard work they put into bringing us all here tonight. It's a tremendous job of organization, and they really have a lot of work to do in putting together all the materials, and especially getting the inductees to get their materials in on time. So I appreciate your involvement and your patience with me especially. It was a very busy summer. And thank you for the wonderful presentation. It was funny watching all the high school pictures up there in front of me again. It really brought back a lot of good memories of the high school. I wanted to thank my Aunt Rita Marinelli, who really encouraged me to fill out that application and send it in. And she's not here tonight because of an illness, but she would be here if she could. I wanted to thank all the Norristown High representatives, including Mrs. Sandler, and many of your fine students who met with us this morning, the West Norriton Women's Club for the wonderful luncheon. I really enjoyed getting in touch with the students. And I did have just a little message for the students, and that is that even after you choose your career, because I chose my career in high school, it really doesn't mean that that will be your career. I didn't know where in medicine I would end up. But I can tell you that as I went through, I was able to take many different paths. There are a lot of possibilities. And these days especially, you have to take advantage of whatever opportunities arise for you. I find even today, I'm still changing. I have switched from internal medicine to emergency medicine to occupational medicine. Now I consider myself a physician executive in administrative medicine. And I'm considering some entrepreneurial ventures with some colleagues, something I never thought about 5 or 6 years ago. So you really have to think about always keeping your mind open to what the opportunities would be for you. I wanted to thank my family and friends. There's a cluster of people here, and my children, my husband Bob in the audience, for all their patience and support over the years. Caroline and Sarah, they do sacrifice a lot having a working mother, but they've been very patient with me, and they're wonderful children. And Bob is a fine husband, and when I have to business travel or whatever I have to do, he's always there taking an active role in raising the kids. This is a special year for me also. This is my 25-year reunion year for my graduation from Norristown, and in fact next month I'll be meeting with my classmates once again. And I would encourage all of you students to try to get back to the high school for this, every 5-year reunions. It's a wonderful experience. It's like a time warp, as if those years never went by and you feel like you're right back in high school again. It's really a great experience. I wanted to express to all of you my pride in my chosen profession. I was curious about life and biology and medicine from an early age because my great uncle was a doctor in Norristown. He practiced for years and years. He's passed away now, but he was in general practice. And in those days, of course, medicine was what medicine was. It's not like that now. But I had visions that that's what I would do. Things have changed. I never regretted it for a moment going to medical school. It was a long road, but it was well worth it and continues to be. And I feel grateful to my family and friends, my past and present colleagues for helping me through so many, I wouldn't say difficult times, but challenging moments. I wanted to extend a special word of thanks to my mother. My mother and my father did encourage me to attend medical school, so they put the grain of the idea in my head. But I have to tell you that the actual day that I decided to pursue medicine was in high school in my senior English class, when one of my friends turned to me. There was a girl, and she said that she was thinking about going into medicine. And it wasn't until that day, I think, when my peer basically made it okay, that I really considered going into medicine. But my mother and father were there giving me moral and financial support through many, many years of education, and I truly appreciate that. Also, in a way, I feel like I've come full circle because of that in the past 25 years, I went from making my decision to here being honored for the Hall of Fame, and I'm really very, very proud and very happy that you chose me to be here tonight. I also wanted to basically just emphasize that again, and that is that in high school, I think the person who had the most positive influence on me in the sciences was Mr. Elvidge, who does still teach biology here. In fact, we visited his class today, and he was, at that time, introducing a new kind of biology course, which is old now, called BSCS. And we felt really proud to be in that class. But I remember him saying, you can do anything you want to do. Just put your mind to it. And that really stayed with me. In addition, my peers, I had some great friends in high school, and I still do. I still see them once in a while around the Norristown area, and especially at the reunions, we really do. We feel like our time together here in high school was very special. It was a very pivotal time in our lives. In closing, again, I would like to express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for all of you, to all of you for presenting to me this award and honor. It's very important to learn as much as one can about your career possibilities, and I'm always pleased to speak about my career. So if you have a career day, please invite me back. I'd love to come back. I'll always remember this evening and the way I'm feeling right now, and I wish you all long and healthy and happy and successful lives. Thank you.
Congratulations to our new inductees. We welcome you all to the Hall of Fame. I think it's a great group tonight, and I think we owe them all a special round of applause. And I might note that your words of wisdom to this group, I'm sure, was very much appreciated by all, and the students, I'm sure, will take to heart your words, and I'm sure in the years to come, a lot of these students will be taken into the Hall of Fame or the Hall of Champions as time goes on, and we hope I'm sure we will welcome you back. Before we adjourn to the cafeteria for refreshments and fellowship with our honored guests, I would like to recognize two of the many individuals who helped contributed so much to make this evening's program a success. To Rory Zumo, who literally runs the program from backstage, prepares the inductees' slide presentations, and who put together the exhibit in the lobby display case. Rory's up there in the balcony, and we appreciate it, Rory. And Jeff Brandon for his usual fine professional job as our off-stage announcer. We really couldn't have done it without you two. And to Charles Horrow and his fine musicians, we appreciate the music they rendered, and it's nice to see you again, Chuck. Now, if you would please rise and join Denise Ritter and Tiffany Sheets in singing the first verse of the Alma Mater, after which we will adjourn to the entrance to your right into the cafeteria for fellowship and a little bit of refreshments. And thank you all for coming.
Though the earth be filled with flowers, most beautiful and sweet, and the roses and the lilies hide the pathway at our feet. Oh, the blue and white shy violets will e'er be our delight, for they wear the royal colors of our anthem, blue and white.
Very good, girl. You know all three versions of it? Not yet. You better learn them.
Entrance to the cafeteria.